इधर आ गया ना? नहीं नहीं भाई 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 मैम थोड़ा मैडम तंगो थैंक यू
CEO, CMO, COO, the CNO, all of them need to be involved. And you need to engage all your important stakeholders. You can create a multidisciplinary peer support group who are good in communication and good in listening. So these are the two parameters for them. And you should also think about recruiting a peer support coordinator. And then train them, do role play and so on and so forth. In terms of implementation, you can create a roster. I got 2 minutes. You can create a roster 24/7 as to when there is a need, when the second victim requests for a voluntary support, there has to be 24/7 somebody available to address that need. So you should need to create a roster. And then you launch a
made her debut in the Hindi film industry in the 1990s. Looking at her, you don't guess that. She looks very, very young and very energetic. She's also an author. She wrote a book about parenting. A lot of people know her because of her acting prowess. But I think today, she's recognized more from the point of her advocacy for detection, prevention, and the spread of awareness about a disease that everyone is afraid of and doesn't want talking. So, Sonali, I'd like to put my hands together for you to do that. It requires rare courage, and you yourself are a television personality, a film personality, and what you say makes a difference. There are a large number of doctors out here, but there are a large number of medical administrators out here, and we'd love to hear you, because you bring that patient's perspective into what is the most crucial aspect of care in medicine, and that is the quality of care which results in better outcome. To bring a professional touch to it from a non-medical person, mind you, other than me, there is not a single doctor on this panel, is Praveen Nijhara. Now Praveen, I have known as a market researcher for a number of years, over 20-25 years. He's a Bombay guy from Narsi Monji College, and he now is the CEO of Hansa, whom you all will be in peace after you're finished.
Dr. Puri, everyone at CAHO, and thank you very much for that glorious introduction. You know, I don't know if in medicine you have the concept of self-inflicted injury. The nurses here would know about it. When a person hurts himself knowingly and then derives some pleasure out of it. Dr. Puri, it is a mix of sadism and masochism that makes you do that. When you want to hurt yourself. I'm sorry, but all of you want to do the same thing because you've called me on stage. There must be some reason. It can't be love. You know, you suffer me through the week and then on the weekend also you want to call me. So I told my friend Joy, why are you doing this? And then to make it worse, you have also given me 2 mics here. Do I need 2 mics? And then, Dr. Puri, you know, when I was in Delhi University, we were told, when I was a debater in Hindu college, we were clearly told when we go for a debate, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And after that, every 10 seconds, there will be a buzzer. You've done the 3rd mistake, you've not given me my time limit.
You don't know me well enough.
So, and then anyway, we are in a good mood nowadays because we are in the middle of an election. It gives me great pride to be here before you today because it's a mammoth effort that you are making which humbles me. And I don't want to give lectures, but I will say one thing to you. When we have an opportunity, we must grab it. Politicians are being forced to become more sensitive to people's issues. We have discussed every irrelevant subject in every election, at least since the time that I have observed it from school till now. We have discussed caste, we have discussed religion, we have discussed subcastes, religions, vote banks. The one thing we have never discussed is people's issues. And then somewhere around 2007, 8, 9, I believe, and you cannot blame the media for it. In fact, I think the media has contributed greatly to making people's issues a matter of public debate. Now the question goes into what are people's issues? We are crossing the boundaries every day. So we've said people first, no compromise. There are some people in uniform here, must be from the Army Medical Corps. We also say forces first, no compromise. We say army first, no compromise. And the sum total of all this, we say nation first, no compromise. What in Hindi we say Rashtra Sarvopari. Rashtra Sarvopari. But if it has to be a case of nation first, if it has to be a case of Rashtra Sarvopari, it has to start with the distinguishing feature of people first, citizen first. And here we are, we have a wonderful opportunity. I just came, we did a 1.5-hour debate before I came. We said, who spoiled the campaign? What are we talking about in this campaign? What is the biggest issue in this campaign? Let me tell you today's biggest issue. The Mahagathbandhan has found its latest issue. They say that when we get elected, we will pick up Modi and throw him out of the country. So the biggest issue today when the first round of voting is over and 6 is left, is not you, certainly not your healthcare. It is the pressing concern of the opposition, the immediate urgency to make sure that Narendra Modi is out of the country. If this election is all about one individual, then who are we to ask questions of either politicians or the media? The media will reflect what people think. Why are we not debating real issues? When I go to hospitals, I find a real issue of affordability. And you're correct, Dr. Puri. The biggest issue is affordability. The biggest issue is not whether doctors are being beaten up by patients in ICUs, which is a very, very, very critical issue. But are we even discussing that? We are not. Are we talking of the healthcare safety net? We are not. Are we talking about how many people can actually afford cardiac care and oncological care in this country? We are not. Are we talking about how much of a gap there is today between one India which can afford its basic requirements? And I'm not talking about luxuries. I'm not talking about asparagus and avocado. I'm talking about whether people can afford potatoes to eat. Are we talking about those classes of people in this country who are now being told, we will keep you under the poverty line. You are incentivized to remain poor, which means if you continue to remain poor, we'll give you 6,000 rupees. And then your biggest fear in life is not going to be whether you become better. Your biggest fear in your life is going to be whether you are ever going to be out of the poverty net. Because the moment you are out of the poverty net, that 6,000 rupees will go away. The politicians of this country are not unleashing productivity. They are not unleashing productivity in this country. There is a 50-year-old adolescent in this country who goes around telling people, please remain poor. What is this logic? And who says, if you remain poor, I will give you a gift. The people of this country must be told that poverty is the biggest curse in this country. And 50-year-old adolescents who have not experienced poverty, who have not worked hard, who have not made something of themselves on their own, have no right to tell the poor people of this country, I'll give you a gift to remain poor. Our country must thrive and grow. And it will thrive and grow when people begin to demand. To create demand, you must have ambition. To have ambition, you must have hunger. And to have hunger, you must have the right to demand your right. The beginning of this conference should not be about the problems that there are in India. You know, we've become a very cynical people. We have been told over years, this is bad, that is bad, this won't work, this has not worked. You ask this generation, ask an 18-year-old today, can it happen? He'll say it can happen. But then the 35-year-old will tell him, I don't think so. And the 55-year-old will tell him, it's never going to happen. And the 75-year-old will say, I wish it happened, but unfortunately you are dreaming. So what does a 75-year-old tell the 18-year-old? He tells him to be cynical about change in this country. He tells him not to believe that change will happen. So when someone promises you real change, you say it's not going to happen. Today, the irony in this country is that even Peter Mukherjee can afford good medical care. But a common man cannot. The irony in this country is that if you're a criminal politician who talks to mafia dons, you can come out on parole and get yourself admitted where you want. But a common man cannot. 6,000 rupees a month as a throwaway gift to a poor person as an incentive to remain poor will not get that person a bypass surgery for his father when he needs. And if he needs, he will stand outside the hospital with forms in triplicate and say, request you please get this for me. And hence none of us have any right to be cynical about Ayushman Bharat. All the medical fraternity, I appeal to you today. Forget your profit margins. Forget what you're going to get out of it. Stop cribbing about the fact that you're not making enough money. Hospital owners, doctors, please stop cribbing about the fact that it's not going to happen. It will happen. Do you know the impact of Ayushman Bharat on a poor person? Do you know how empowered they feel? I come from a family of army officers and central government servants. Go to the CGHS. Go to a military hospital. You know the biggest empowerment for a junior commissioned officer when he retires at the age of 45? Ask a Subedar Major who retires, what is the biggest gift that the government has given you, that the army has given you? He will say that I, as a retired Subedar Major, can take my father to the military hospital and he will get any care that he needs. We deride it, but we don't know how empowering healthcare is in our country. We are only thinking about vote banks, vote banks, vote banks. You know something, Dr. Puri? I've been a journalist now for 23 years. People tell me, why do you scream? I was not born this way.
I only hope you did scream when you were born. Otherwise, you would be in the NICU.
Good one. The fact of the matter is, Dr. Puri, in this country, you don't scream, you will not be heard. It is the brutal reality of this country. When I met the 50-year-old adolescent in 2014, he asked me my age, Dr. Puri. And when I told him, I said, I'm 40 years old. He said, oh, you're younger than me. I said, yes, I am, but I have 19 years of work experience. I represent a generation which has achieved what it has on its own right. The difference between you and me is that I'm not a dynast. I represent a generation of Indians that came out of college after reforms. I'm not a beneficiary of entitlement. And I want the next generation to be hungrier than I am. But I also know what being disadvantaged in this country is. The future of this country is in its government schools, not in its dun schools. This is the reality of this country. The future of this country will be in the chawls, not in the mansions. The future talent of this country, which will take this country to 10, why I predict 12% growth for India, will not be the generation of people who can walk in today into any hospital and get any healthcare they want and have crores of rupees in sum assured insurance. It is the bunch of people in India who do not have that. Now imagine if those groups of hungry Indians living in the chawls, the slums, who are fighting, were to get some assurance of healthcare for themselves and their parents. What would we achieve as a nation? You know something? We would achieve